Well, hello everyone. It is digital host A.J. Wuest, and happy Friday. I cannot believe it is already Friday. I don't know about you all, but this week has certainly flown by for me, and it is already the weekend. But welcome back to Before the Four, the live stream where I take you through some of 48's top news stories and then some before our 4 o'clock newscast. Today we'll talk about the weather. We'll go through a few of the stories in case you missed them. And then, of course, we got to end it today with a little bit of Friday night football talk here in the last week of 48 or the regular season of high school football for that matter. But if wherever you're watching right now, whether that is on Facebook, whether it's on YouTube or the 48 Now live stream, thank you so much for watching and spending just a little of your Friday afternoon here with me. Now, starting things off, it was a first alert weather day earlier today. With the weather this afternoon, the first we've seen rain here in the Tennessee Valley for a while. 48 first alert chief meteorologist has your latest forecast and what to expect this weekend here weather-wise. Brad, sending it over to you.
AJ, the weekend is here. We go to the big time change this weekend. Nobody's really looking forward to that. Rain chances get better down the road, as you see on the 10-day forecast. We'll talk more about that at 4 and 5 and then at 6. But the rain is gone. It's still cloudy. You see that on the Shoals camera here. And we're going to be dealing with the clouds breaking up right around sunset. Will clear out, and then the fog will develop overnight tonight. We got some really good rainfall totals, anywhere from a half inch to about an inch, a little bit more than that in some spots during the last 24 hours. The cloud covers really kept us cooler. Check out Winchester, 61, 70 in Huntsville. Overall, the next 3 days, just a little above normal. We'll get that sunshine out tomorrow. Again, we change our clocks back, so we gain an hour of sleep, but we lose that precious hour of daylight. 78 on Monday as we head back to work or school. Again, I'll have more on your forecast coming up at 4, 5, and 6.
Absolutely. Thank you, Brad. And now a story in case you missed it. In Boaz yesterday, 48 Savannah Sapp spoke with the mother of a stabbing suspect. Savannah with more details on a truly horrific situation.
Tendra Hammett's son, River, was arrested and charged with murder for what police are calling a horrific stabbing outside a Boaz restaurant Tuesday afternoon. Tendra says growing up, River was a seemingly normal kid with no signs of mental health problems.
He was successful. He was the president of his class's sophomore year. He was voted the most likable.
But she says something changed as River grew into adulthood. She says River was diagnosed with several mental illnesses, including manic depressive disorder and PTSD. She says he even received inpatient psychiatric care in Gadsden. And while Tendra says he did well for a time, River began to struggle again after it became difficult to find work.
And then he gradually became depressed, because who won't be depressed when it's hard and you don't have any money?
On Tuesday, Tendra went with her son to a doctor's appointment when he became irate and lashed out at the staff. Tendra says she reached out to the Etowah County Sheriff's Office to have River taken to psychiatric care, but she was told she'd have to file a petition in Marshall County due to River's address. She says she did so and was waiting to hear back from a judge on Tuesday when she got the call that her son had stabbed 38-year-old Phil Saint to death.
I had done it. I tried. And there's no reason for that gentleman to be gone.
Tendra feels that the system ultimately failed her son due to the lack of resources and clear laws surrounding those with mental health. She shares his story to hopefully change that.
If people don't stand up, if we don't start raising our voices and actually forcing a rule and a law to come through, there's not going to be any help, and we're going to continue to see people get killed, suicides, for no reason.
Well, thank you, Savannah. Truly a horrific situation indeed. And 48's Noah Cowell will have more from the court hearing today in our evening newscast. Last we've heard is that the suspect was denied bond, but stay tuned for our evening newscast from 48's Noah Cowell. And now let's head over to Huntsville, where city leaders are relocating a homeless camp after a fire broke out there just a month ago. 48's Nick Ballinger with more.
This was just 30 days ago at the Derrick Street homeless camp in Huntsville when a fire broke out in the community. Here's how the camp looks today, cleaned and emptied by the city, with residents relocated just down the street.
Well, when the cleanup's being done by the city general fund and the city expenses.
Your tax dollars.
You know, we certainly don't promote and encourage the development of encampments because our model is that we want everyone to move toward a self-sustaining model of being housed.
City leaders got feedback from camp residents during a listening session behind closed doors. Their top requests: more police presence, running water, and waste management. Some of the waste already collected by the city included needles, drugs, and even human feces, which is now headed to a designated landfill.
As citizens, as city government, that we have responsibilities to make sure that areas of our community are safe.
But will improvements to the camp take away incentives to find permanent housing?
I like to say that somebody could write $1 billion check and put every homeless person in the country into housing, but without support from their government, from agencies like us, and from others, they're not going to stay there.
Chad Rodriguez is the executive director of First Stop, a nonprofit dedicated to ending homelessness. Just received a $300,000 grant for outreach efforts.
Everything from outreach to operations to materials to supplies, assessing their needs, helping them in any way we can, and hopefully getting them back into our ecosystem.
Well, thank you, Nick. Now let's talk about a new complex coming to Huntsville. After years of construction, the Sandra Moon complex is now in its final phase of development. The complex, located at the old Grissom High School, already holds a new library, tennis courts, and a playground for the little ones. And now in this final phase, an auditorium and event center is all set to be built, revitalizing the old Grissom Auditorium. The project, dedicated to Sandra Moon, former city council member who served on the council for 12 years. And 48's Matthew King recently spoke with city administrator John Hamilton, who says the final product will improve the entire portion of the city. Take a listen.
That part of the city that really almost serves as their own little downtown, kind of a village center, that community center, and we're already seeing it with the library, just the way it brings the community together. Well, here's some more opportunities through arts, through performance, through sports and recreational things to just bring the community together, spend time together.
Super cool. And now heading over to Alabama A&M, where a football player is still recovering after he was hospitalized due to an injury during the Magic City Classic last week. Bulldog linebacker Metric Burnett Jr. was taken off the field on a stretcher last Saturday in their game against Alabama State. But at this time, it wasn't clear how severe his injury was. Alabama A&M head coach Connell Manier says they cannot reveal too much about Burnett's injury due to privacy reasons, but says they are doing what they can to support during this very difficult time.
We got to send up our prayers, and I went back out the game and stayed with them. I picked their parents up from the airport on Sunday, stayed with them Sunday for a while before I came back here. Coach Howard and Coach Thornton went down yesterday. We stayed with them for 4 hours. So we're doing all we can do. We got control. We can control. We got to understand that the Lord got everything under control, and we got to do what we can do. Let's play football and go to school.
Absolutely. Certainly wishing him a speedy recovery. Now, let's talk about some high school football. The 48 game of the week in the final regular high school football regular season is West Morgan taking on Deschler in a 4A Region 7 Friday night action showdown. West Morgan already crowned the region champs, but everything is on the line for those Deschler Tigers. They are looking to squeak into the playoffs, and they are competing against 4 other squads in that region, seeking one of those playoff spots. So, big game for Deschler tonight. Should be a great game. And staying in sports, staying in sports, we got to talk about the games that happened last night, of course. Rogers over Lexington. Rogers took that win 42-22 over Lexington. Buckhorn with the big win over Grissom last night, 28-6. And finally, Muscle Shoals over Austin. It's rare Austin loses a game, but Muscle Shoals got the victory 29-22. Make sure you stay tuned to 48 Blitz in our 10 p.m. newscast tonight. And of course, 48 Blitz OT tonight at 10:30. You're just not going to want to miss it. But with that said, that is just about all the time I have in today's Before the Four. But as always, I want to thank you for watching. You all have a great night.